Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for letting me have you as your guest lecturer today. I'm so excited to spend the next few days with you guys and tell you all about lions. Today we'll be looking at the similarities and the differences between wild and captive lions. Lions are Africa's largest cats. On average, a male lion can weigh between 150 kilos and 225 kilos, and females can weigh from 110 kilos to 125. When a cub is first born, they weigh around 1.5 kilos at birth. Lions are mammals, meaning they are warm-blooded vertebrate animals of a class that is distinguished by the possession of hair or fur, and females secrete milk and give birth to live young. Lions are hypercarnivores, which means that their diet consists of more than 70% meat. The average lifespan for a wild lion is 10 to 14 years. Lions principally live in the African savanna, which consists of grassy understory studded with fire-resistant trees and has well-defined wet and dry seasons. Lions are extremely territorial, and each pride has their own territory, and this territory can weigh between 20 square kilometres and 200 square kilometres. Lions are the only social big cats, and they live in groups known as prides. The size of a pride is largely dictated by how much food is available in the area. There is usually a collation of 2 or more adult males that spend part of their time with the pride and the rest of the time circulating the territory. Typically, a pride will consist of 5 to 10 lions. Many carnivores are night active and secretive. Carnivores are physically built to ensure survival and success. Many carnivores have teeth designed to seize, puncture and tear flesh, and they are highly adapted for hunting and killing vertebrate prey. They have lengthened canines, chisel-like incisors, strong molars and a unique pair of meat-sharing teeth known as carnassials. Unlike a lot of other carnivores, lions have fully retractile claws. Lions are the least secretive out of all big cats, and in captivity a lot of this is seen as their instinctive behaviours and general facts about the lion itself. Now, the pride is crucial to their hunting strategy. Lions are highly effective pack hunters. Most hunting is carried out by the females, and the lionesses hunt cooperatively. Lions principally hunt at dawn or dusk, but can adapt according to the prey. Lions will rarely hunt during the day due to the heat and will instead relax during this time. It is the lioness's job to hunt with the sisters and provide food for the whole pride. One lioness will attack and the others will keep the prey surrounded. The male lion will often show authority for himself and take the meal once it's killed, creating a queue of lions going from males to cubs, and the females eat last. The lion's favoured prey is large or medium-sized animals such as wildebeest, impala, gazelle, zebras and water buffaloes. Lions go for prey up to half a metric tonne, and they will rarely go for prey under 200 kilos, with warthogs being the main exception. Lions habitually spend the day lazing close to a water source and will then pick off animals that strays within pouncing range on its way to drink. Lions also seem to miss a lot of opportunities, but they only hunt when they have a reasonable chance of success, and lions are only opportunistically active throughout the day. The true key to lions hunting is their strength in numbers. Prey is usually bitten on the neck, throat or head, and death is usually rapid. While these techniques for survival are extraordinary, this does not occur in captivity. Confirmed by Adelaide zookeepers, in captivity they generally get fed approximately 4 times a week. This is because in the wild a lion would not eat every day, so this is mimicked to some degree. Opportunistically, when a brief encounter or event is not booked, enrichments will be provided to the lions, such as cutting up the meat and scouting it around the enclosure, drawing out instinctive hunting behaviours. Other behavioural enrichments, according to Rachel Hemming from Monado Zoo, that could provide, it could include toys, smells or streamers, anything that will encourage them to use those natural hunting behaviours. Feeding live food is illegal in captivity as it is unfair on the food, so pre-cut meat is given to the lions. However, lions do have their natural instincts, so if a possum or a bird were to get into their enclosure, their instinctive behaviours will emerge and that animal will not be leaving that enclosure. As the lions in captivity do not have to hunt for their food, the predator behaviour is lacking, observed by Wayne Boardman, especially for those that have been born and bred in captivity. Contrary to popular belief, lions in the wild don't do a lot of running around. Similarly, when you see lions at the zoo, they're often sleeping or lazing in the sun. However, this is an accurate representation of lions in the wild. A wild lion will spend 16 to 20 hours a day resting and lazing in the sun. While lions are only opportunistically active, a high level of fitness is required to chase down their prey, whereas captive lions have no need to run around and chase prey, so will be extremely unfit in comparison to a wild lion. However, lions do have hunting instincts that will be simulated. Hunting isn't necessarily a learned behaviour. A lot of it is innate instinctive behaviours, yet the fine-tuned techniques of hunting are learned behaviours taught by the other pride members. While captive lions are less fit, they may be larger in weight due to the lack of exercise and the inclusion of sufficient food in a captive setting. A major advantage to being fed in a captive setting includes the elimination of diseases. Wild lions, as well as many other wild animals, are extremely vulnerable to disease, as stated by former zoo vet Wayne Boardman. In the wild, lions also cannot afford to get injured, as injuries while hunting are often fatal. In captivity, if a lion is injured in any way, treatment and physical help is available to them. In captivity, there is awareness around this area and food sufficiency is ensured, and supplements are also available to ensure the levels of nutrition are kept healthy and stable. Lionesses are polyestrous, which means that they can mate at any time of the year and there is no fixed breeding season. In the wild, lions will often give birth in secluded dens in order to protect the cubs. While these measures are taken, unfortunately 80% of cubs will die. Cubs are completely dependent on their mothers for the first 2 months of their lives. After this time, they slowly get introduced into the pride. The male's role in a pride is to take leadership and defend the territory. Most males are able to hold a pride for only 2 to 3 years and are then driven off by younger and stronger males. They will then be nomadic until they can force their way into a new pride. In order for a male to obtain a new pride, a fight will need to occur between the male and the existing leader in that pride. This is often a fight to the death, and the survivor will overrule the pride. If the new male lion wins the fight, they will kill all the male cubs, preventing them from becoming future rivals. Once all these cubs are killed, the lion will then mate with all the females in the pride to obtain his own cubs within that pride. However, a lioness on her own may go into false oestrus if she has cubs and if a new male arrives on the scene. She will do this to protect her cubs by diverting his attention away from potentially killing her cubs, and instead he'll be more interested in mating with her. A male lion can mate up to 100 times a day in a process that only lasts between 17 to 60 seconds. They can keep up this activity for around 4 to 5 days at a time. The male can mate with a number of different pride members, and the females can do likewise, resulting in cubs in the same litter having different fathers. This can protect the cubs from infanticide, as each male then may believe that the cubs belong to him. When the cubs reach 2 years old, this is classed as them being sexually mature. Once they reach sexual maturity, they will be ousted from the pride by the dominant male. Unfortunately, many of these lions will die in the first 2 weeks, as most of them are inexperienced hunters and they may die from starvation or injury. Breeding in captivity does differ to that in the wild, with the most prominent difference being that there are institutions around Australasia, meaning that the lions have a more restricted choice as to who they breed with. The captive authorities make that choice for them. As their mating partners aren't necessarily completely chosen by the lion, the authorities need to look at the genetics within the region, and the choice is then based purely off genetic compatibility. For some species, artificial insemination would be conducted. However, lions mate so well naturally that we allow this to do them for themselves. The setup within zoos and captivity involves a stud bookkeeper. The stud bookkeeper's role includes to gather all the genetic information of the animals. From here, a species coordinator will recommend the most appropriate pairings. The lions aren't coming into a pride like they would in the wild. The captive setting then introduces them and sets that process up for them. The males and females are placed together through various stages. Initially, there is a non-contact stage where there will be mesh between the individuals acting as a barrier and allowing them to slowly become familiar. Then a progression to full contact begins when they're in the same enclosure together with no barriers between them. This does not reflect a natural setup, as in the wild they will have a pride takeover and their breeding setup will be different because the animals have been having to move from institution to institution. Breeding is extremely successful in captivity, supported by Adelaide zookeepers. However, in the wild, when a new male becomes king of the pride, the male will kill all the female cubs in order to expel lactation and oestrus, and so he can mate with her and all the cubs will be his. Captive settings obviously do not allow this to happen. Breeding is not a learned behaviour, instead it is an instinctive, innate behaviour. Something, however, that does occur in captivity that is not seen in the wild is the formation of hybrids. In captivity, lions can mate with tigers, creating ligers and tigons. Some of these hybrids can get extremely large and weigh up to 500 kilos. These hybrids are usually infertile, except for female ligers who can then mate with male lions. While captivity can be great for conservation, there are many captive settings in which are a harm to the lions. In captive settings that do not attain the appropriate needs for the lions suffer as a result of this. When appropriate measures such as adequate space, enabling social aspects, correct dieting and proper care are not taken, lions exhibit stereotypic behaviours when in captivity. Stereotypic behaviour is animal behaviour which is invariant, repetitive and serves no obvious function. Irregular pacing behaviour is most common in big cats, exclusively in captive environments. Pacing is described as a repetitive locomotion stereotype. During the progression of the behaviour over time, the intensity changes. Initially, the animal will get distracted as it is easy to break the pace. However, after a period of time, the animal may appear in a trance, unable to break the pace or the gaze. A study showed that the median percentage of time spent pacing in captive lions was 48%, in contrast to the 16 to 20 hours a wild lion would spend resting per day. Captive animals may also be observed mindlessly chewing on the bars of their enclosures or cages. All of these captive behaviours stem from the absence of a natural necessity. These behaviours are principally observed in animals that have restricted space or lack of environmental complexity. The lion's conservation status is vulnerable and the population will continue to decline if measures are not taken. Thank you so much guys for tuning into today's lecture. I hope you were able to learn a little bit more about lions, and I'll see you tomorrow where we'll debate the big question, which is better for the lions, captivity or the wild. See you then.